We have been up all night, my friends and I, beneath mosque lamps whose copper domes, as open-worked as our souls yet had electric hearts. And while we trod our native sloth into opulent Persian carpets, we carried our discussion to the farthest limits of logic and covered sheets of paper with insane scrawls. A vast pride swelled in our breasts to feel ourselves standing alone, like lighthouses or advanced gods, facing the army of enemy stars that camp in heavenly bivouacs, alone with the greases in the infernal engine rooms of great ships, alone with the dark phantoms that rummage in the red bellies of bewitched locomotives, alone with the drunks fluttering, battering their wings against the walls. And unexpectedly, like festive villages that the Poen flood suddenly unsettles and uproots to sweep them off, over the falls and eddies of a deluge, to the sea, we were disturbed by the rumbling of enormous double-decker trams passing in fits and starts streaked with lights. Then the silence got worse, as we listened to the exhausted prayer of the old canal and heard the grating bones of palaces moribund in their greenery whiskers. All of a sudden, hungry cars roared beneath our windows.
Come, I said, my friends, let us go!
At last, mythology and the mystic ideal have been surpassed. We shall witness the birth of the centaur, and soon we'll see the first angels fly. We must shake the gates of life to test the hinges and the locks.
Let us go!
This is truly the first sun that dawns above the earth. Nothing equals the splendor of our red sword battling for the first time in the millennial gloom. We approached the three snuffling machines to stroke their breasts. I stretched out on mine like a corpse in my coffin, but suddenly awoke beneath the steering wheel blade of a guillotine that threatened my stomach. The great broom of folly tore us from ourselves and swept us through the streets, precipitous and profound like dry torrent beds. Here and there, unhappy lamps in windows taught us to despise our mathematical eyes. The scent, I cried, the scent suffices for wild beasts. And we pursued, alike to young lions, death of the dark fur spotted with pale crosses that slipped ahead of us in the vast mauve sky, palpable and alive. And yet we had no ideal mistress high as the clouds, no cruel queen to whom to offer our corpses twisted into Byzantine rings. Nothing to die for besides the desire to rid ourselves of our too weighty courage. We went on, crushing the watchdogs on the thresholds of houses, leaving them flattened under our tires like a collar under the iron, cajoling death preceded me on every curve, offering a pretty paw, and by turns, lying flat with a jar and clamp of jaws that throw me velvety looks from the depths of puddles. Let us abandon wisdom like a hideous vein stone, and enter like pride-spiced fruit into the vast maw of the wind. Let us give ourselves to the unknown to eat, not for despair, but simply to enrich the unplumbable wells of absurdity. As I spoke these words, I veered suddenly upon myself with the drunken folly of poodles chasing their own tail, and there at once were two disapproving cyclists reeling before me like two persuasive and yet contradictory arguments that inane undulations scanned over my ground.
What a bore!
Oi! I cut off sharply, and in disgust I pitch bang into a ditch. Ah, motherly ditch, half full of muddy water, factory ditch. I tasted by mouthfuls your bracing slime that recalls the saintly black breast of my Sudanese nurse. As I rose, a shiny, stinking gadabout, I felt the red-hot iron of joy deliciously pierce my heart. A crowd of fishermen and gouty naturalists had gathered in terror around the prodigy, patient and meddlesome. They raised high above great iron, casting nets to fish out my car that lay like a great mired shark. It emerged slowly, leaving behind in the ditch like scales its heavy body of common sense and its padding of comfort. They thought my good shark dead, but I awoke it with a single caress on its all-powerful rump, and there it was revived, running full speed ahead upon its fins. then, face hidden by the good factory slime, covered by metal dross, by useless sweat and heavenly soot, carrying out crushed arms in a sling amid the plains of prudent fishermen and distressed naturalists. We dictated our first wills to all the living men on earth.